Greetings and welcome back. This is Iris Heath, licensed clinical professional counselor, coming to you to talk about the 5 stages of grief. So, grief is not an easy topic, and like everything else that we've been discussing, it's a necessary conversation. So, I'd like to encourage you to find a way to either talk about it with someone in your support system. Last week we talked about the power of community, and I will be bringing back something just to go along with that because there is such power in our community. And sometimes I think we don't recognize that sometimes our community becomes sick, meaning if others are not doing their work, if they have difficulties they're dealing with. And actually, right now in our society, many of us are actually in the same boat, that everyone's dealing with something. And so I would encourage you to use this as an opportunity. I have people around me who are inviting others to come and actually have a meal, inviting someone to come and take a walk, inviting someone to actually to a social event. And so there are a lot of good things going on around us. I would like to caution you not to make yourself overly busy, because that can actually sometimes come from a negative place also, and actually keep us from getting our appropriate rest, and actually keep us from working on things that we really would benefit from working on. So, getting back to the 5 stages of grief, the stages are actually brought to us by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler Ross. It's part of my training, and yet someone who studied with and under Dr. Kubler Ross actually eventually brought 7 stages. I usually still refer to the 5, and they are, and keep in mind, they do not, you're not going to necessarily experience these in any particular order, and it is possible that you will experience them out of order, and you may experience them in a repeated way. Hope that's understandable. So, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So I went to Therapist Aid. I will put the link in the description, as well as another resource just for you to get some additional information, an article that I was able to find about 5 stages of grief. There is a lot of information on grief, and our society, our community actually has a wonderful resource in Roberta's house. And if you are not in the Baltimore, Maryland area, please Google to find what resources are available to you. We also have Gilchrist, and many of our morticians are actually including some type of grief service or referral in the services they offer, because they realize the value of it. So I really want to affirm and applaud those agencies who are doing so. So let's get back to denial. Denial, basically, this can't be happening to me, maybe a thought that comes about. Actually having difficulty with accepting that the loss has occurred, whatever the loss may be. It may be a loved one or family member. Keep in mind that depending on how a person dies, actually may have something to do with how you grieve. Some deaths are more traumatic than others. Some deaths we are able to, for lack of another way of saying it, better prepare for it So if someone receives a diagnosis and we have some time to spend with them, some time to talk to them, some time to help them get affairs in order, that may be grieved differently if the person is older and um, and we are expecting to eventually lose them, maybe grieve differently than someone who's younger and or someone who we had no idea that we were actually going to lose them through death. Those two situations, those will definitely be grieved differently. And I want to encourage you to be as compassionate as possible. Sometimes people just need us to sit and listen. Um, think about Job's friends who came and accused him of having sinned. And that was the reason that the Lord brought this calamity of losing his family. So let's, as much as we may mean well, let's, I heard a similar situation today on one of the programs I listened to, New Life Live. And so I'd like to encourage you, please be careful how you are encouraging and supporting those who have experienced death in their family. And sometimes we just don't get it right. Sometimes we just put our foot in our mouth. I don't know how else to say it. Unfortunately, I've done the same myself. And sometimes silence can help. Sometimes an apology. Sometimes I don't understand, as opposed to a lot of words. Sometimes just sitting with the individual, showing up, asking what they need. So please be encouraged if you are experiencing any loss, whether it's through death, loss of job, pet, family member, friend. It could be finances, it could be relationship. So grief actually does show up in all of those situations. So I gave us denial. I'm going to add to it anger. Why is this happening to me? Is one of the examples that's given. So we've talked about anger. Go back and look for my YouTube on anger. And anger is a secondary emotion. It's usually attached to something. And so even in grieving, we can become angry. Some individuals are angry with God. God, how did you allow this to happen? How did you allow this good person to die? There's so many things. How did you allow this young person? So if any of these things sound familiar, I'd like to encourage you to get support, even professional, licensed professional help. So it may be helpful to start with your local faith community if that's where you initially have received your support. And sometimes that's enough for some individuals. But if you feel like you need additional support, please reach out to a professional, a licensed professional in this area. Sometimes it's just helpful as you are walking this difficult path. And it's not something, as I heard this morning, it's not something that you get over. Dr. Rick Warren was sharing his own testimony about what he went through when he lost his son through death. And he was saying how his support group, his small support group, just they were there for him and helped him and his wife get through that difficult situation that they're still living with. And yet he was describing that it feels different. It has not gone away. his son is still gone, and yet the weight of it, and um, and even decisions that have to be made early on can be very difficult for individuals. The business, I call it, that comes with the death of a loved one can also add to the difficulty of it. So, if you are an adult who um, would benefit from some type of term life insurance, please take this as a reminder to please speak with someone in that area, a reputable representative. If you're not sure, the state of Maryland, you can reach out to the Maryland Insurance Commission to maybe get some help in that area. I'd like to move on. The third is bargaining. Bargaining with God. Um, I will do anything to change this. Asking, pleading with the Lord, please don't allow any harm or don't allow my loved one to die. Those are really difficult feelings, but real feelings, and maybe something that you've either experienced or felt, or something a loved one has experienced. And I'd ask you to please not judge anyone if you hear them making these comments. They're in a difficult place and they need you. They need their support if you're not the person experiencing this. Depression is the fourth. What's the point of going on after this? And again, I'd like to encourage you that those are very natural, normal feelings, and feelings that many individuals have gone through. They are things that a professional counselor would be able to help you to sit with the pain, which can be so hard and so difficult. And keep in mind, I have a number. 988 is a hotline that has been developed for individuals who have thoughts of harming themselves. If that is you, please, please reach out. Please tell an adult, a responsible adult, who can help you get to the nearest emergency room. If you can't remember 988, call 911, explain what you're experiencing, let them assist you or get you to the right place, so that we need you. We need you. You are loved. You are cared about. And I just want to remind you that even if those around you do not understand, please don't stop asking for help. Please don't give up. Please let someone know, because there is someone, there is help out there. And I hope you'll reach out for a resource in your area. So your health department, your insurance, if you have insurance. In our community, we have health care for the homeless, who I've been told has excellent resources. And if not, there are so many resources. Let someone know. Let us help you. And we also have a crisis hotline. So the next is acceptance. When you may feel like it's going to be okay. And again, if this is whatever the loss is, being okay does not mean that it's resolved or it's over. It just means that you're at a place where you're able to realize that this has occurred. You're able to go on. You're able to put some things in place, maybe additional support. I always encourage individuals, when you have crisis going on, to put additional support in place, whether it's an additional meeting, whether it's for a time you may need to be out more, going to a community store, going where they know you and call you either by name or hey sis, hey bro, how are you doing? Or it could be just being very intentional about not isolating yourself, going to church, going to more services for time. Again, building yourself as you get stronger, as you move through this path, this journey, however you're naming it. So I know I've given you some information. It may seem like a lot to some, but it may not seem like enough to others. But like everything else that I'm bringing, it's a conversation. Please continue talking about it, whether it's a bad diagnosis, whether it is a loss of a loved one, whatever it is, a job, finances, there's so a pet, there's so many things. Fill in the blank for yourself. I just want to encourage you to reach out, call someone, be vulnerable, ask for help. And as I have been reminding you, let someone know you love them. And thank you. My friends, the Harrises, actually sent me a note the last time. I appreciate all of you for your support and your encouragement. Be well.